As we dive into this next section of videos, I just want to spend a bit of time talking more about the Kaggle platform and the concept of the way Kaggle hosts data sets. Data sets will be a very important part of this course. You'll be using them for beyond just these courses on Kaggle, but when we get into the data from real buildings, we're going to be using data sets that I've put online, as well as look at data sets that other people have created. So the interface that we see here is for the courses, which you have already covered the Python course. We're now going to jump into the Pandas course. And if you look over here on the left, there's a whole directory, and we've covered this with the introduction to Kaggle, but let's dive into a little more detail of some of these different options. So home, of course, is just a kind of a directory, data science competitions, which is something that you'll take a look at later in this course. The Datasets tab, which we're going to look at here in a second, code, which kind of is complementary to datasets, and discussions, which is also complementary to datasets and codes. So we're going to talk mostly today about datasets, code, and discussions, and kind of what you can learn from the Kaggle platform itself and using those features. Let's click on datasets. This is a directory of basically every dataset that is on the Kaggle platform. So you'll notice that there's lots of different categories. It seems like there are thousands or even tens of thousands of data sets on the Kaggle platform itself. You can search different keywords. You can look at your own data sets which you've created, which you probably haven't created many yet, but I have, and we'll take a look at that in a second. Different types of categories like computer vision, natural language processing. Here you can see the first row of trending data sets. These are data sets that are quite popular and maybe recently updated. So beyond built environment data sets, of course, there are tons of other opportunities to check out data sets related to sports and marketing and finance and all different kinds of things. Let's look at the data sets that we're going to be using in this course, which are data sets that I've uploaded. For example, this simple shopping mall analysis we'll take a look at in this section. You can see that there's the Building Data Genome Project. That's something we'll look at in section 3. You've got different types of like fault detection, energy consumption, interpretation of thermal perception scales, and we'll look at these data sets later on in the course quite a bit more. But today, what I want to do is dive into this data set, which you'll be reintroduced to in a few videos from now. One of the key features that I'd like you to check out to get a sense of what this is are the code tab, which are basically Kaggle notebooks, which you will be using this notebook, for example, in this analysis. There's a whole tab for discussions. So right now there is no discussions, but you can, and I encourage you to add new topics to discuss the data sets and answer each other's questions and understand and kind of coordinate these things. And then activity kind of shows like what has happened with this data set over time. Let's look at a different data set from my account that has a little bit more of a community spirit to it. More people have used it. Let's look at the Building Data Genome 2 project. Here you can see that there is a discussion board where people were asking, what is the meaning of the label of the buildings? It didn't make sense to them why a building was called Bobcat. What's the point of that? Somebody answered that question because they figured it out based on the dataset paper, as well as somebody else made a clarification and other things. You can see that this is kind of a place that is very useful to find out more information, to ask questions, coordinate with others. Here you can see code, so you can see lots of different code that people have posted into various notebooks. We'll talk about next week how to use those code in your group projects. So you can basically build upon others' momentum and do cool things. And then last but not least is I want to encourage everyone to, because you've created a Kaggle account, you can use upvoting. So if you think that this is a great data set, you can upvote it. If you think somebody left a really great notebook, you can upvote it. Voting is a way to see where the high quality analyses and data sets float to the surface or float to the top and become kind of more prominent. So somebody that does a really good job on a particular data set or analysis, you can help give them credit. And we're basically creating a crowdsourced environment where people are learning from each other and what's high quality and what needs to be worked on. As you dive into the upcoming videos, please keep these Kaggle features in mind. Each week we'll have a little bit of overview of these features. And so good luck with the videos.